This is the grave of little Chester Keith in North Brookfield, New York. I picked his stone to clean next because it was so different from any I'd ever seen before. The front just says, "Our Chettie," and it looked like a ball at the top, but after I cleaned it, I could actually tell it's a child's head held in the hand of God in the clouds. I thought it was strange there was no other writing on it because the back was all black, but once I cleaned it, I found the writing and I learned a lot about their family, so here's the highlights. His parents, William Keith and Elmira Peck, were married in Brookfield in 1860, and William was drafted into the Civil War 2 years later in 1862, but he was listed as deserted a month later in Jamaica, New York, which is outside of Queens. From an old Civil War letter written by his neighbor, so many soldiers were deserting from their regiment that after William ran away, the others were ordered to shoot anyone else who tried to desert. But he told his parents that he could never do that. By 1866, William and Elmira were living in Pearson, Michigan, and had a daughter named Layla. They then moved back to North Brookfield to Gordon Hill, which is now called Keith Road, after their extended family, who still live in North Brookfield today, and Chester was born there in 1870. He died at only 4.5 years old, and he's the only one that's buried in the cemetery. For some reason, at this point, his parents had changed his sister Layla's name to Myrtle. It wasn't really uncommon to change the name of a sibling to that of a deceased one, but it didn't look like the case here because they didn't have any other kids. Not long after Chettie died, they moved back to Michigan. His sister Myrtle died 6 years later at age 17 from inflammation of something, but I couldn't read what organ it was on their death certificate. 6 years after that, their mom Elmira would die of consumption, which was the old term for tuberculosis. Their father, William, lived to be 85 and died in 1920 as an inmate of county house of an unknown cause. Inmate doesn't necessarily mean that he was in prison, though, because they also use that term for anyone who was in an asylum of some sort. Now that I can see there's writing on the back, his epitaph reads, "We mourn him now, but yet we know a brighter light illumes his eye. A fuller radiance wreathes his brow. To blossom he must needs to die."